assuming this is good because I can't see any other way because I have the camera facing this way. But welcome back to the final episode of the Data Protection Diaries for the year 2020. If you are new to the channel, welcome to the end of the year review. If you are not new to the channel, welcome back and thank you very much for joining us again. It is massively appreciated. Whichever way it is, if you are not currently subscribed to the channel, please make sure that you do that now. Hit the little notification bell as well and you'll be informed when we upload a video. We've generally tried this year to move into producing one video a week depending on the news and what's going on in the world, and we'll obviously continue to try and do that. But if anything wildly interesting happens, then obviously we're going to post it, so making sure you hit that notification bell is massively useful. So the purpose of this particular video is obviously to have a bit of a look at what's happened in 2020, but more importantly, in my sort of Nostradamus of the privacy world kind of viewpoint, is to take a look at what I think 2021 might be bringing forwards in terms of a privacy perspective. Now, 2020 has obviously been a very interesting and topical year for data protection and privacy in general. We've had a lot of interesting breaches, we've had a lot of regulatory action, we've had Max Schrems destroying standard contractual clauses all over the European courts. There's been talk of federal privacy laws in the US. We heard that Elizabeth Denham is possibly going to be leaving. And obviously, we had a number of very, very enjoyable data protection diaries, pub chats with some really fantastic people. So a lot went on last year, but a lot of that stuff is also going to be carrying on into next year. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. So without any further ado, let's get on with what we want to talk about. Okay, so the first big piece of prediction for next year, so for 2021, is of course that we are going to have a brand new information commissioner here in the UK. How do I do this? I see you ask. Is it my crystal ball? No, it's already quite widely publicised. The ICO, Elizabeth Denham, wrote a blog a couple of months ago stating that she will not be extending her term at the end of her term as the commissioner. There is yet no talk of who might be replacing her. There are lots of ideas of how people would like it to work out in the world, and working more as a commission again, like it did under Christopher Graham, and maybe somebody more commercially focused might be better for the job. Who is it going to be? We don't really know. The one thing that we do know is that it's no longer going to be Elizabeth Denham. And usually that means when somebody new comes into a role, be it a regulatory role or a commercial one, that things start to change and they want to change things and do things their own way. So my first prediction is that this year the ICO is going to be a very different beast. And I think we're going to see some potential changes in the way things are being run as somebody new comes in and wants to change the way to do things in their own particular fashion. Next up, the adequacy decision. The one conversation on every privacy officer's lips is the UK going to receive an adequacy decision from the European Commission from when we leave the European Union on the 1st of January in 3 days' time. It's still not looking particularly great, to be honest. There was some information put into the recent agreed trade deals with the EU that both the EU and the UK continue to commit to upholding the highest standards of data protection. The UK have already deemed the GDPR as adequate for their own purposes, so potentially we'll continue to rely on that for the time being. But we still don't have anything set in stone. We don't have an adequacy decision. Nothing has been documented. Nothing has been written down. So we're still left out in limbo. I understand at the timing of filming this video that a blog post has just been posted or recently been posted in the last day or so, again from the ICO, essentially saying that they will give a 6-month transition period to allow transfers to continue before they start to take any regulatory action against companies. I've already seen posts about it. And I have to agree, it's not the greatest thing. It's very much just moving the problem down the road for when Elizabeth Denham is no longer around. And I think that's a real shame because it doesn't fix the issue of data transfers. So my prediction for 2021 is that this is still going to be a massive conversation and a massive issue and something that really, really does need to be addressed as soon as possible. My next prediction, again, probably not really a surprise to anybody. You don't need a crystal ball to be able to see this, but standard contractual clauses are going to continue to rumble on, and that is going to include challenges around international data transfers, especially those data transfers going to the US, where obviously last year Privacy Shield was yet again torn down in the European courts. The biggest challenge that we continue to have here is that we are being instructed under the guidance that has been provided that organisations should be looking to understand who they're transferring data to under international transfers and what adequacy and what level of protection is being afforded by the countries and the governments in those countries. And now you can't realistically expect any particular individual or any DPO within a general organisation to have that kind of knowledge and to have that kind of detailed legalistic understanding. It's just not possible. So where are we going to get to? I don't know. I see a lot of challenges coming in 2021. I see a lot of concern around the changes to the standard contractual clauses. And I see a lot of snake oil potentially being sold, people that may come up with technological solutions of ways that will be able to give you that comfort, allow you to demonstrate that level of adequacy. And I think that's going to be something that we need to keep an eye out for and make sure that people are getting the right advice from the right people at the right time. For more information on standard contractual clauses, check out the video that we did with Eduardo Oosterin, just up in the corner there. And he gives a much more fascinating insight into the topic than I can do at this time. My fourth prediction for the year, there are only 5, so if you're hanging around, just hang around a little bit longer. But my fourth prediction for the year is that there is going to be a much greater increase in the level of regulatory action coming from the ICO. Now, why do I say this? For me, personally, I know we've already talked about the fact that Elizabeth Denham is kicking the can down the road in terms of international transfers, but there was some heavy action coming out from the back end of last year. And I think once you've built up that kind of trajectory and that kind of movement, it often sees that gets pushed through into the following year. So we saw Ticketmaster fined over £1 million for their data breach. We've also seen a Manchester-based pensions company, I believe, that were fined £250,000 and tried to wind the company up to avoid paying the fine. Now, they are being actively chased by the ICO, and the ICO have managed to enforce a stop on the winding up of the company so that they can still chase that debt and still chase that fine. Now, I think we're going to start to see some much more formal regulatory action rather than just enforcement notices, which are very, very important. But I think if they're looking for standout stuff, they're going to start pushing again for fines and maybe try and roll out some stuff early in the start of 2021 to try and bolster what they'd already done in 2020. And I think that's going to be an interesting factor and an interesting point to watch. So lastly, and my crystal ball of privacy and a little bit of security just smattered in there for good measure, is of course that I think there is going to be a continued increase in state-sponsored attacks. So we are talking about attacks like the SolarWinds attack, sponsored by governments, government agencies, countries, governments that want to infiltrate, collect information. And this is especially going to be important now that we move much closer to having vaccines available for, obviously, the coronavirus. That kind of information, the IP that surrounds these vaccinations, the recipe, as it were, of how that vaccination is put together is going to be incredibly valuable. And there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to want to try and have a piece of that, or try and take a piece of that away from AstraZeneca, away from the Oxford University, away from Pfizer, away from all these different organisations that have created these vaccines. So I think that's going to be a real issue in 2021. People are still continuing to work from home. Nobody's going back to the office. We're here literally for half an hour just to get this video done, and then it's back to working from home for me. But that just poses significant challenges for organisations and allows them more open to state-sponsored attacks. I think that's something that we are going to see more of in 2021. Be interested to know your thoughts though. Do you see it happening? Do you think that's going to be a continuation? But even more so, what are your predictions for 2021? How do you see the year panning out? Do let me know in the comments down below. And if there's something interesting, if there's something that's coming up as a trend, I'd be more than happy to do a video on it, past comment. Let me know what you want to see and let me know on that down below. So that's it for the Data Protection Diaries for this year. Thank you very, 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 very much for everybody that has tuned in, everybody that has subscribed to the channel. I think we started the year with 100 odd subscribers and we're ending the year on over 400 for a channel that talks about data protection. That is brilliant. It's fantastic. It's more than I could have ever hoped for. I hope that you enjoy this content. I hope you enjoy this information. I hope you enjoy the way that we deliver it. If there's something you'd like to see more of, do let me know. I promise we're going to do more of the pub chat podcasts because I know people really, really enjoy those. And I'd like to talk a little bit more in the future about who we are as an organisation as well and what iStorm do as a business, because obviously we don't just record podcasts. But for now, thank you very, very much for tuning in. I hope that you have as much of an enjoyable new year as you possibly can. And I wish you all the best for a very prosperous and hopefully healthy new year. And I look forward to speaking to you again in January. Thanks so much. Take care.